And guys, in this next news story, a criminal gang has been jailed for committing more than £1 million worth of damage and theft against ATM machines across the UK. In collaboration with Police Scotland, an investigation was led by the East Midlands Special Operations Unit, and they revealed that there were a number of attacks committed against ATMs across England, Wales and Scotland. It's believed that more than £600,000 in cash was stolen from these ATMs, and the damage that they caused with smashing buildings and robbing vehicles totaled to over £1 million. There were two methods that were being used by the gang on the attack, depending upon the type of machine it was. If it was a machine situated in a building, the gang would use power tools or vehicles to smash through the doors, then used a drill and other tools to access the contents of the ATM. If it was standalone, they would use a stolen van and strap it from the ground. They would then steal the contents and make off in a stolen high-powered vehicle bearing false registration plates. Those responsible were mainly based in Leicestershire, with a couple of key contacts in Scotland to enable a number of attacks across the border. They then used their partners, relatives and other associates on an on-call capacity to ensure the criminal operation ran smoothly. So a breakthrough came in January 2022 when Patrick Gilheany and John Smith travelled from Peterborough to Scotland in a Fiat motorhome and returned to the Midlands a few days later, also making the same journey with a blue Saab and a stolen grey Audi RS4. They were both on false registration plates. During that time, there were 4 ATM attacks across the central belt of Scotland, and latter searches of suspected vehicles linked through NPR. Footage included the Audi, which was stolen from Merseyside a few months earlier, which was found burnt out in Huntingdon. Recovered Scottish banknotes, drills and saws, and receipts for items such as face masks, gloves and dark clothing. In November 2022, hundreds of officers and staff from 7 forces contributed to the execution of a number of warrants. Among the significant arrests, items seized including stolen high-powered vehicles and car parts, further high-value vehicles and motorhomes, more than £30,000 in cash and 2 imitation firearms. Attempts by the gang to throw officers off the scent by communicating only with burner phones whilst travelling between the attacks were in vain. Meticulous investigation and forensic examination of seized items brought each person into the frame. Gilheany's DNA was found on a crowbar left in a vehicle used in an attack in Loughborough in March 2021, and Tally Smith's DNA was found on the key to a stolen transit van, which was used in an attack in Nottinghamshire in September 2021. The EM SOU Detective Chief Inspector Darren Brown said this was a brash but technically skilled, organised group which found strength as a close-knit, omnicompetent criminal community operating under clear leadership. On the face of it, this type of crime may seem victimless, but in attacking ATMs, this group have attacked the very heart of the community. Residents were left without a local means of accessing their cash, and many of these attacks also left vital community conveniences such as post office, petrol stations and corner shops out of action whilst they were repaired. And then there's the associated residential burglaries and thefts of vehicles used in the crimes. And the sentences given today reflect how serious the criminal justice system views this type of organised offending and the harm it inflicts on society. Through some expert investigation and concerted effort, we've also demonstrated the level at which UK policing can collaborate across the country and borders in order to protect the communities. So the sentences for this gang are follows. You got Patrick Gilheany, who's 34, got 7 years and 6 months. You got John Smith, who's 32, got 7 years and 6 months. So these are for conspiracy to commit a non-dwelling burglary, intent to steal, and conspiracy to steal from another. You got Tally Smith, who's 34, got 6 years and 8 months. You got Alfie Boswell, got 5 years. You got William Boswell, got 3 years. And then you got a number of other people who received suspended sentences. And guys, in this next news story, a 41-year-old man who was caught with a car boot full of cocaine at an Essex port has been jailed for 10.5 years following an NCA investigation. Rolf Warner's Renault Scenic was stopped by border force officers at Harwich International Port, having travelled by ferry from the Hook of Holland in the Netherlands. In the boot of his car was a heavy suitcase that Warner's claimed was packed with clothes for his trip to the UK. Upon searching the suitcase, officers discovered 42 kilos of cocaine with an approximate street value of £3 million. The drugs were individually wrapped by the kilo, and each package was tagged with the DO label. Warners was arrested for the cocaine importation attempt, and the NCA launched an investigation into his criminal activity. Investigators analysed data held on his mobile phone and discovered he was arrested for the cocaine importation attempt, and the NCA launched an investigation into his criminal activity. Investigators analysed data held on his mobile phone and discovered he had made 4 other trips to the UK from June 2023 to when he was arrested at Harwich Port in November 2023. On each occasion, he would arrive into the UK from the Netherlands, stay overnight in a hotel, and return the following day. Evidence of Warner's use of exchange tokens was also covered on his phone. Tokens are commonly used in criminal exchange as a method of verifying the correct recipient of drugs or illicit cash. They often take the form of a banknote serial number and are sent as proof of receipt. Warners appeared at Chelmsford Crown Court to be sentenced, having pleaded guilty to importing Class A drugs at an earlier court hearing, and he was sentenced to 10 years and 6 months imprisonment. Paul Orchard, the NCA operations manager, said cocaine supply fuels violence in communities across the UK, with direct links to knife crime and the exploitation of children and vulnerable adults. Our investigation evidenced that this wasn't a one-off for Warner, as he had made several trips in the months before his arrest. The sentence handed down to him should serve as a stark warning to drug suppliers: you will be caught and put before the courts. Working closely with our border force colleagues and international law enforcement partners, we are committed to dismantling the organised crime groups responsible for importing Class A drugs. Jenny Sharp, the Assistant Director, Border Force Central Region, said, "Every drug trafficker court protects our communities from the destructive influence of illegal drugs. Our dedicated Border Force officers are at the forefront of this battle, working tirelessly to prevent these substances from ever reaching our streets. This is another strong example of our unwavering commitment to keeping our borders secure." A woman who encouraged pupils to attack a girl has been jailed. If you remember, there was a viral video that went out outside the Thomas Knivetts College in Ashford in Surrey on February the 6th last year, and it was posted on social media. There was a girl who was having her hair pulled and suffered bruises and cuts when she was kicked and dragged to the ground. Winnie Connors, who was 40, was recorded shouting the words of encouragement to the attacker, saying, "Punch the face, grab the face." The video was played to Guildford Crown Court, and it showed large clumps of the girl's hair wrenched out of her head, and she was also stamped on. The prosecutor, Charles Langley, said she suffered a bruised eye, a grazed knee, and her hair was ripped from her scalp. The fight was only broken up when teachers arrived. They said this was a group attack and it was a prolonged and persistent assault. There was clearly an element of planning in the assault, with Ms. Connors arriving for what appeared to be a pre-planned fight. They went on to say that the girl went through counselling after the assault, was left stressed and unable to eat. However, she has since made a full recovery, which is good news. Mr. Langley read out the victim impact statement for her and says, "I was very embarrassed because it was videoed by someone from the school. The biggest struggle for me was the video and it being all over social media. It was very embarrassing. It was horrible for my family to see me being injured in that way." So Connors has been jailed for 20 months for intentionally encouraging or assisting an offence, and she was also handed a 5-year restraining order. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.